Chapter 13. Husbands and Wives. When a life partner is unfaithful or has a problem with addiction, they can cause the family to fall apart. How can a marriage survive when mistakes happen that continue to hurt relationship? Can a marriage be saved from such incidents? A great Buddhist monk, Lumpur Thaddajiwo of the Dhammagaya Temple, explained that in choosing one's life partner, we need to observe existing married couples and analyze their experiences. If we did this, we would find that before couples are married, both are confident that they selected the life partner best suited for them. They had imagined that, once married, their life would be blissful. They imagined that any conflict would be minor and resolved amicably, and that they would never abandon each other. However, once they lived together for some length of time, the initial infatuation dissipated, and they saw their husbands, wives, sometimes at their worst. They realized that there will always be issues with which to deal. In the end, the magical happiness they once anticipated from their married life was erased by the reality. So, a person needs to choose an ideal partner based on the following. 1. Understanding and confidence, law of karma. 2. Observation of acts of self-discipline, precepts. 3. Willingness to help others. 4. Wisdom to discern between good and bad. Because we are responsible for developing these traits ourselves, we are also responsible for seeking them in our partners as well. Difficulties in marriage, however well we plan, will naturally arise. One common problem in today's world is adultery or unfaithfulness. Why does this happen? One factor that leads us being unfaithful is that we are looking for something that we sense is lacking in our partner. Unfortunately, there is a quick solution to this problem. Both partners should meditate regularly together each day. This practice helps us to calm our mind, because even the smallest flaw can be perceived as enormous in others. We tend not to recognize our own flaws, no matter how big they may be. When we close our eyes to meditate, we will see ourselves for who we truly are. The beauty of our true inner self will slowly arise. Then slowly our flaws become known and made clear. The calmer our minds become, the more we will see. If we can begin to see our own flaws, a way to remedy them will also emerge. A second factor might be that our partner is adulterous by habit. This is difficult to remedy. We will have to endure it and realize that this is a very sad consequence of not assessing people well. We can only control our own behavior, and it is best to retain our dignity by not retaliating in kind. Changing an adulterous partner requires time, and we are the only person who can determine how much time it will require before we should consider other options. Alcohol. It is better to be single than to marry an alcoholic. Not only is it detrimental to us, but also to our children. Before we marry someone who drinks, think again. Keep in mind that partners who completely abstain from alcohol are hard to find. Therefore, it is better to be single because it is a wiser choice. If, however, we find ourselves in an unfortunate situation, i.e., already married to a person who drinks excessively, it is important to keep up our spirit. We should continue to attend our religious venues, church, synagogue, mosque or temple. Continue to accrue punya. Continue teaching our children ethics and morals, and help them to make it part of their lives. Chatting and meditating together will help to improve people's behavior and help bring the family back together. Many children have faced the problem of seeing a parent drunk and/or belligerent. Once drunk, a parent is likely to yell at the neighbor, lie to their spouse, and instigate a fight with their children. This behavior, of course, aggravates everyone in the family. However, because of the love that children have for their parents, they want to help them stop a detrimental habit. Unfortunately, many children do not know what to do. They want to respect their parent, but they realize how detrimental drinking is to their health. Perhaps one way to remedy the drinking is by refusing to buy the alcohol. But in order for children to be successful in helping their parents quit drinking or smoking for that matter, They themselves have to be wholesome role models for their parents. If our parents acknowledge that we are smart and proficient, then they will always look up to us, even if they don't express this sentiment. Then perhaps we can find an appropriate time and method to approach them with what is respectful and suitable for the problem. Money. Money can be a problematic issue for all couples, both young and old. When we are young graduates from university, we are diligent and focused in starting our first job. We work overtime with hope of getting bigger and better salaries each year. As we get older and become more proficient in our work, we believe that we should receive the appropriate monetary compensation. In the end, however, if we end up living paycheck to paycheck, then we will wonder how we could have worked so hard but don't have anything to show for it. So how is it that some people manage to squander their incomes? It is not important how much you earn. It is important how you spend the money you have, and it is important how much you save. Earning a lot but having little left is the same as using a fish net to collect water. The net may have touched an ocean's amount of water, but it could not save a drop for the future. On the other hand, earning a little and saving a lot is like having a clay pot to collect water. If we earn a lot but spend it on alcohol, then we are choosing to use a fishing net to collect our water. Same goes for gambling. Going out to a bar or a club every night for a drink applies to this as well. We can avoid all these pitfalls by simply not doing the behavior that leads to them. Drinking, smoking, gambling all requires enormous amounts of money. If we do any of these things, then we cannot blame society or someone else for our own behavior. And we cannot blame anyone else for not saving our money for us. The blame lies solely with us. Therefore, life partners should often discuss the virtues of catching money with clay pots instead of fish nets, as both people need to use them for a prosperous future. Sex. In this modern age with our preventative medicines, many people believe that soliciting sex is okay. By soliciting, we mean seeking, requesting, and/or paying for it. No, this is not okay. Think again. As our children grow, we need to help them understand that there is a natural tendency to think about sex partners. Help them discern who the good partners are. Help them discern how they need to think about where they spend their money and who they spend their money on. Any person who does not have a healthy attitude toward the opposite sex needs to be avoided. What is healthy? Respectful, responsible, and caring. Help them learn that when a person says no, they mean no. Any person then who solicits sex, no matter what the circumstance, has their appearance, reputation, and inner self-worth tainted with desire, deterioration, disaster, and damage. From the moment they begin to behave inappropriately, people around them will view them with ever-increasing suspicions. So ask themselves, does the person have AIDS? Do they have STDs? What kind of attitude toward women, men do they really have? Why would I want to hang out with them? A potential partner of someone who solicits sex must totally want to waste their money on supporting their negative behavior. As parents, if we support such negative behavior in our children, there is no hope that sexual misconduct, rape, and physical abuse caused by sexual desires will ever stop ruling their lives. Gambling. Even before the first whistle in an athletic contest is blown, many people have already placed their bets on a winning team using borrowed money, their own salaries, their children's school tuition, and their personal allowances. Bookies are filled with joy when they see the amounts of how much money they will collect. Most people do not think about this when they watch a sporting match, but such gambling has tremendous effects on the entire family. If we work hard at making an honest living, then gambling is a terrible trap to be caught in. Bookies make their money simply because they do not want to know how to spend ours. If we have lost all our money on gambling, then we will then turn to bookies for loans. If we cannot come up with the money to repay our debt, then we will resort to criminal activities, corruption, and/or prostitution in order to repay the debt. The idea of working in an honorable profession disappears from our mind as we bury ourselves deeper and deeper in addiction of gambling or other roads to ruin. This addiction is difficult to break because our agenda is to get back the money that we have lost. Gambling destroys our honesty. Because the more we gamble, the more deceit and suspicion arises. Gambling destroys our wisdom. When we perceive that money is God, which can provide us with everything, we forget that there are many things that money cannot buy. When we have money, we will spend it on useless things or lose it to more gambling. We become wasteful and do not know the true worth of money. We view money as only a piece of paper. Once we spend it, we crave more and more of it. This cycle continues around itself endlessly. Instead of using the wisdom we possess in a beneficial way, we use it to devise ways to cheat others. Gambling wastes our time. Because once we started, we can very easily forget everything else. Even when we win, we forget everything. When we lose, we try even harder to find ways to get our money back. Finally, gambling destroys our health. When we gamble, we neglect and sacrifice our rest and sleep, eating at odd hours and compromising our health. The best interventions to help those with a gambling addiction are as follows. 1. Do not involve ourselves with gambling. 2. Explain to our children how harmful and dangerous it is to gamble. 3. Do not promote or encourage gambling at home, work, or school. Explain to anyone we love how destructive gambling actually is.